ball knocked loose. White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, laying. Got it. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
Wayne Spooney here for First to the Floor. Sorry we were a little bit late. Ben is supposed to join us. He is having camera issues, so whenever he's ready to go, he's going to jump on. But for now, it's just me and Jake. Jake, 3-1, buddy. How we doing?
Doing good. Doing good. Feels real nice to be up 3-1. Feels extra nice to be up 3-1 while the Luka, LeBron Lakers are down 3-1. This is, it's been a good first round. It's been a physical first round. I'm excited to talk a little bit about some playoff hoops.
Yeah, man, me too. This has been a grind of a series, but I think I'm going full Eric Weiss brain here with his sort of take has always been like, this is good. They need to be tested early. This is not last year, and this will be a really good way to test them. I think I'm like swinging in that direction where I wanted an easy series to get us, acclimated to the playoffs, make sure we've got plenty of rest, but like, screw it. How easy is the Knicks defense going to seem after playing this Orlando team? So I think the health concerns definitely weighs against that. But for now, this is what we've got. So I'm choosing to embrace it, Jake.
Yeah, look, you got it. I mean, what choice do we have if not to embrace the path that is in front of us? But like I will say, I'm starting to get a little lizard brainy with the Knicks thing. I'm like, because we talked about it with Greeny last night. The same thing with the Knicks defense. It's like, that's going to be great. We love playing the Knicks defense. And I'm like, I don't want to overestimate or underestimate how we're going to play against that Knicks defense in a playoff series, but it's hard for me to objectively say that the Knicks defense is going to be able to bother the Celtics offense in the same way that the Magic's defense has, like the second best defense in the NBA all season long, no matter who they had in the lineup, pretty much, is just not going to be the same beast that the New York Knicks provide in the next round. And there he is, Ben
Vallis.
Vallis.
Oh my God. What the?
Triumphant leader.
Not so triumphant today, unfortunately. All of my technology failed. I managed to fix my camera, and then my headphones promptly failed as well. So hopefully the Celtics get Game 5 off to a better start than my day is here. But how are you guys doing?
Good,
We're doing good. We're just talking about how we're excited to play against the squishier New York Knicks defense as opposed to the sturdy, painful Orlando Magic defense. But I'm kind of like in the back of my mind trying to like just talk myself out of it going to be as easy as I want the Knicks series and the Knicks defense to be. So I'm like kind of trying to convince myself that we should be, respecting our opponent, but at the same time, second best defense in the NBA versus the 12th best defense in the NBA is just the reality of the two different teams. And we don't have to dive too much into the Knicks yet. But Ben, you're back. You're our host. Where should we go?
That's a good question. Have I missed anything thus far? Or should we jump in from the top of the run sheet here?
Nope. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, well, quick Game 4 thoughts I think is a good place to start before we move on to Game 5. I think we will leave like a lot of the Knicks or potentially Pistons preview stuff until that has eventuated. But my main focus on Game 4, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts, guys, is just like Jayson Tatum, another incredible game. Of course, I don't have the box score up because I've just had to restart everything and none of my tabs are open. But incredible line, and just the first thing that comes to mind is just the body of work, the continual body of work from Jayson Tatum that he's been notching since like 2018 in a Celtics uniform from a postseason perspective. Where does this one stand out to you guys as far as like, I don't want to like rank them off the top of the dome here, but in sort of the general echelon of the Tatum postseason body of work?
I think it's hard to be like too high up there in the first round, although like with the context of this Orlando defense is really good.
Yeah.
It's like a 75th percentile Tatum performance for me. Could have been a little more efficient, but that's picking nits somewhat. So like a very, very good performance. You know me, I'm a Tatum passing guy. I like when his passing stats have a little more zest, a little more pop. If I'm talking like true great Tatum performances. But it's a very, very good one. And I think it just highlights the fact that his baseline performance is like not that much worse than this. And he's going to go down as like a top 5 all-time playoff points guy. Like he is on that trajectory. And that's pretty crazy that we drafted this dude. And he has a sweet name. Jayson Tatum. That is, we don't talk about it enough. Yeah, it's a sick name. And he's writing his name up there in the history books with every time he drops 35 in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, he's putting up 30 and 12 and 4 now on the series. It's pretty good against the second best defense in the NBA. What's the true shooting at right now for the playoffs? So yeah, 54.7, and that's honestly like right around where it was last playoffs. But I think the last 2 games show you like it's going to be back kind of in that 56 to 60 range, I think, from game to game for the most part, once he kind of gets settled in here. I would have it in a tier 2 playoff, especially I think of him in the last, basically from 21-22 to now as like the next phase. Like that 21-22 season was kind of like the beginning of his prime, or the early inklings of what his prime's going to look like. And now we're like the early inklings of the peak. Like the peak is kind of that 27 to 32 range. But I don't know, maybe the peak's going to be like a decade long, because you see what Steph Curry and LeBron James and Al Horford are doing so long into their careers. And when you're a guy that takes care of your body in the way that he does, like this is going to be a pretty long runway. But yeah, I think 37 of 14 against 42 minutes, defending in multiple positions. That's, I think, a tier 2 Tatum game. It's kind of where I'm going here.
I think that's fair, especially given the stakes, or maybe the lack thereof, like first round series, like worst case, you go home tied up with, home court advantage still. So I think tier 2 is fair. Where maybe he tickled tier 1 was the Biffo in this game. We've got the clip here.
KCP, and now Carter knocks him off the block. Derek White. And now teams come together here. KCP and Tatum pushing and shoving.
Spoonie, I grabbed this off your Twitter page. Thank you. It was the only place I could find it. So clearly capturing the important moments of the game, Spoonie. I appreciate that. But maybe the most engaged we've seen JT in a Biff circle in his NBA tenure thus far.
What Biff circle is a new one for me, boys. But I think
circle
I
Biff,
the content. Yeah, circle of Biff.
Bring back the Biff, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, man. Like it was really bizarre because it felt like he was heading over there as peacemaker, and I think he was. And then like he was trying to get KCP maybe off the ref, and then the ref turned and was like, "What the F are you doing? Get off of me!" And then Tatum's like, "Whoa, F you, get off of me." So I don't think he helped calm down the situation, but then like after that he got really, really hot. Like he was pissed after that. So obviously partially because of Orlando's 12th extraordinarily hard foul of the series, and then I think like the miscommunication with the ref, it was a disaster. But I want to see him get into biffs. I want to see him biffing all over the place. So I love that he's like standing up for his teammates and getting in the mix.
Yeah, like this, it may be the angriest I've seen. I've got a second angle here if you're watching.
Let's go.
On the YouTube. So this is a zoom in here, and Tatum comes in and just moves everybody out of the way, and most importantly, you can kind of really see the striations on the shoulder and the deltoids,
Very
and
important.
and the neck vein popping out, which. There was a lovely lady in the comments below on this tweet that had a kind of a gif of a lady going back on a bed, splitting her legs apart, and
ready to biff.
I can't say I felt that different to her. I was like, she's just like me for real, because that was the type of feeling I think I got seeing Jayson Tatum get in there and be a bit of an alpha. I like I like the way that he sprinkles it in where necessary, because I do think like what the Pistons were doing in the regular season, like it loses its impact to me. Like when Tatum and Horford get pissed, it actually means something to me. Like as opposed to these guys that are just starting shit all the time for no reason. I'm like, okay, here we go again. You're just a fucking clown show, really. But when Tatum and Horford are pissed, like you hip check Derek White. Yeah, we're especially after we've already hurt Jayson Tatum's wrist and we've dislocated Jayson Tatum's finger. Yeah, we're gonna get a little bit annoyed, but I enjoyed him coming in the middle, phrasing, and then moving everybody out of the way.
You've crossed the line, mister. That's what I imagine Al Horford says to people.
Yes, with a finger raised, stern finger pointing. But yeah, Derek White is the human embodiment of innocence, maybe the most innocent being ever known to our universe.
Virgin Mary.
So, yeah, exactly like that. Perfect comparison, Spoonie. So you hip check the Virgin Mary, you hip check Derek White, and you're going to get a stern finger from Al Horford and some beautiful, beautiful striations from Jayson Tatum. We saw the other players gathering around. Myron, I believe, is the term. The striations there from Jayson Tatum. Just love to see it. Sam Hauser, maybe one of the other takeaways from Game 4 for me. And if you want like the full deep dive into Game 4, check out Celtics Late Night from last night with Jake and Spoonie. A great show, becoming a bit of a tradition.
Greeny.
You might have to get Greeny. Sorry. Greedy. Thank you. Might have to get Greedy on the payroll.
Getting your Americans mixed up here, Ben.
I only know two of them, so it's easy to do. But with Jake and Greeny, thank you. So check that out if you want the full deep dive on Game 4. But Sam Hauser, I was really hoping for him to re-emerge as just some sort of bench presence, particularly offensively, as we get a Spoonie Cat sighting there. And defensively, he definitely held up a lot better against Paolo last night as well. So Sam Hauser, I guess the other key takeaway from me. Anything else stand out to you guys before we move on to sort of the macro trends from the series thus far?
He did get first to the floor for us.
Yeah.
Was that game 4?
Yeah,
it was a real nice slide. Like several feet across the ground. Kind of reminded me of my volleyball days from high school. Like those are like really, as the libero, being able to slide effectively was, after diving, was very important. So Hauser making an impact where possible, team high plus 13. He's going to get his between 1 to 3 open threes, and he knocked in 2 of them. And when you're desperately searching for 3-point shots in this series, him being able to knock down 2 of them and give you 18 minutes, we'll take that every day of the week.
Huge. Yeah, absolutely huge. I thought we did a lot better job fighting over screens. I might have to lock the cat in the back room. It's a big back room. She has plenty of toys. It's not cruel. So like, I thought we did
cruel.
Yeah. Or listen, you've crossed the line, mister. So I thought we did we were just like really easily conceding switches, I felt like, in the first 3 games. And I felt like we went to more drop this game and didn't give it up and allow the switch to just happen lackadaisically. We were fighting over. I thought Luke especially had some really great possessions where he was in drop defense against Paulo mainly. And KP, I think in the fourth quarter, started to figure out the drop defense. So it just felt like, we're starting to like really kind of lock in on what the Magic are doing on both ends. And I suspect Game 5 will be like a pretty comfortable win. That's where I'm headed. And I think Game 4, like that fourth quarter, has me really encouraged.
Yeah, if you think about some of the Game 5s from last year, of which there were 3, but particularly pre-finals, so Heat and Cavs, like they were just kind of almost like little mini coming out parties of the Celtics, where there'd been little nuggets of doubt, mostly in our circles of Celtics fandom, where we just like worry about like on a possession by possession basis. But the Game 5s in both the Heat and the Cavs series were really like, okay, there they are. Like, this is the dominant Celtics we know, and they were like blowouts in both cases. So I expect something similar as well. Are you in the same boat there, Jake?
Yes, I am. But now the fact that we're all expecting it makes me think
I know, it doesn't bode well.
That, we're in for another slugfest, and it's going to be like 91-91 again with 4 minutes to go. But now me saying it, I think it means we're back to a comfortable win. So I think we're good to go.
Double
for
reverse
writing this shit.
jinx.
Yeah,
That's
all
right.
right.
We're all over this. We've been doing this a while. All right. So some series trends over 4 games. Curious to hear what sticks out to you guys. I've got some conversation starters, if you will. So the Celtics, I think we all knew this one without looking at the stats page, but leading the playoffs in free throw attempts and free throws made. Bottom 8 in basically every other like basic counting stat except for rebounding with a 6th, steals in which they're 4th. They're ranked last in field goal attempts, which again, based on the pace that we've all become familiar with, I think shouldn't be surprising. 10th in effective field goal percentage. My question to you guys is, looking at these stats, is this purely a result of Orlando's defense, or is there something else at play here? Is there, as an extension of that, like how surprised are you, I guess, with how much we've struggled to generate offense against this Magic defense?
Yeah, and I'll say like it is absolutely the pace, but like even if you adjust for pace and do per 100 possessions, we're still 12th in total field goal attempts per game and per 100 possessions. So I think that goes to the fact that the Magic are doing a really, really good job of turning us over, although we cleaned it up last night. But, we've seen times where the Celtics have had serious turnover problems. And I think part of it is just the Magic personnel and like the team identity, right? And what I mean by that is like Mosley refuses to play guys who can't play defense. They need offense so bad, and Cole Anthony got 2 minutes. He refuses to play Caleb Houston for more than like 12 minutes, and I get it. I think they understand like our only chance is to win like a 92-90 brick fest. So like when you're playing players who are good defenders, completely undermining your offense in the process, this is just kind of what it's going to look like for both teams. So I do think it's just sort of the Magic are doing this by their personnel and the way they play defense, the fact that they are getting away with a lot of contact as well. But like credit to them, man. Like they're doing a very good job switching, guarding the yard and playing tough and rebounding.
Yeah. Well, they are and they aren't, right? Like we're leading the playoffs in free throw attempts because but that's the thing. They foul more than anybody else in the NBA. Like this is why we're going to the free throw line so much. And so I know, I think that might be why the field goal attempts are down, is because so many of them are just going to the free throw line.
Sure, good point.
But which honestly, the pace and like the maths and equalizing everything for possessions is like kind of throwing my brain off, because like you look at the scores of the games and how like the games are kind of close at times, end up actually pushing this thing out to 9 late, and like now and we lost Ben. And so we so like the broader numbers are actually pretty good for the team, but like when you're actually watching it, it's so slow and there are so few possessions, my brain at least gets kind of like dragged into the mud of the series. And I think that there's like clearly the series is in the mud. Like,
oh yeah,
when you're playing this fucking slow, like that's just reality. And I do think that's the smartest way for the Magic. I was like, should they be trying to play Cole Anthony more? It's like, is Cole Anthony actually going to be able to score that much against this Celtics defense? And then he creates a release valve for the Celtics to kind of find an entry point into. So I do think that that's accurate. I think Nick NBA, who was in the Discord today, very exciting.
Oh, nice.
For the First of the Floor Discord, said that Cole Anthony has more fouls than points in this series, which is awesome.
Damning.
But yeah, so like Ben has a question, like, are you surprised how much we've struggled to generate offense? I have been a little bit surprised. I thought it would be a little bit easier, and I think that that kind of directly goes at Porzingis, because that was going to be where I'm like, well, if they're going to switch everything, he's going to punish those mismatches, and he hasn't been able to as much. But then if you look at like the clean the glass numbers that like account for the pace, it's like point differential. We're third behind only OKC and Cleveland, and we're playing a much more difficult test than those guys. Welcome back, Ben.
Thank you.
And so like when you look at the clean the glass numbers, we're third in net, 10.6. Offense, we're fifth, 117 offensive rating, and defense, we're third. So when you actually equalize and normalize the numbers for the pace, the actual numbers are basically exactly what the regular season kind of had us at. It's just like the pace and the slog possession to possession is making it feel closer than it is, when the reality is if we don't have the worst quarter we had all season, it's a sweep now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Really quick on the KP post-up point. So they don't have the play type data up yet, but in the NBA's tracking data, they track post-ups. It's a little less accurate. According to that data, he's 0 for on post-ups for the series. So 0 and 2.5 field goal attempts a game. So that's not ideal. But pro KP point, is there any argument to the fact that because KP has no good matchups, but his ability to post up like a Cole Anthony or like a Caleb Houston is keeping their offensive players off the floor to not give KP a safety valve? So therefore, the fact that he exists and is able to post up is helping us defend the Magic because they can't play those bad defenders against him.
This is good. You should apply for a job as Latvian ambassador. Because that's some excellent spin zone.
Thank you.
This is what I try and tell my wife every day. Just me existing, just being here. I'm helpful enough. Just simply being at home all the time, doing nothing. But yeah, we love you, KP, and that's some great Latvian PR there. We've got to get you on the payroll there over in Latvia, Spoonie. I'm glad you brought up the cleaning the glass numbers, Jake, because this is why I wanted to have this conversation. And this podcast, we always talk about we want it to be the show that we would want to listen to if we didn't have one. And I think walking away from the games thus far, the basic view is maybe I'm a little bit concerned that we haven't had the firepower and the dynamicism that we've seen of the Celtics team over the past 2 years. And that worries me as it pertains to, championship hopes going forward. And we'll get into that a little bit later. But, to really look at these numbers that sort of eliminate the fat from the bone, if you will, in cleaning the glass, I think is really important. You're okay, under the hood, there they are. And they're just as efficient and dominant as they've always been. I mean, here we are up 3-1. So probably shouldn't worry for the most part, but I think it's really good to look at it from that perspective. Other goodish takeaways, statistically and macro views, Jayson Tatum, 30 points per game on 23 attempts, despite only shooting 28% from three and having some sort of wrist injury, which, by the way, I would be interested to see what his shooting numbers are, particularly at the free throw line after having sustained the wrist injury, because just anecdotally, I feel like they have jumped up quite a bit. JB also killing it from the free throw line, which at the volume that we're seeing in this series, very important, maybe one of the most surprising takeaways from this series. 43% from three on 3.5 attempts per game as well from JB, also surprising given what we saw when he initially came back from the bone bruise. Al Horford, though, just the general omnipresence, the vibesman. I've anointed him in this series, despite averaging under 32 minutes per game. Spoonie, I know you and I, as the older heads on this show, like to celebrate the limited Al Horford minutes, and I feel like we're getting more than we could have hoped for from Al in a first-round series while seeing less of him overall from a minutes perspective, which is awesome.
Yeah, man, Al's just so good at basketball. It's ridiculous, man. And we've really needed his steady hand. I think especially defensively, it just feels like we look so comfortable with Al switching on to just about anybody. And he keeps getting away with it. Paulo has gotten him a few times, but I would say on balance, Al has gotten the better of that matchup. And he's a 38-year-old man. And this is the guy everyone's crowned as the next big NBA player. And Al Horford's not so fast. I'm still here and I'm going to shut your ass down. He's been a monster on the glass too at times when he's needed to be, in the 5 blocks last game. He's just anything you need from this dude, he's going to do it. And it's really hard to overstate how important to this team he is. And the fact that he's dadding these Magic teams when they're getting into scuffles and things like that. I think it's just there are multiple Celtics have said he's the best teammate they've ever had, and it's very obvious and easy to see why.
It's playing great. I'm loving the Al Horford experience in round one of the 2025 NBA playoffs. He's been great. I love the fact that he joined only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as the only 38-year-old to ever have 5 blocks. Unsurprising. I guess Kareem can fight Al Horford for the third best overall player of all time. I've got Al Horford when it comes to that one. But yeah, no, I think I think Steven in the Discord had a stat I think Al Horford has 70 plus playoff wins since leaving the Hawks, which is more than 5+ franchises. I forget the number off the top of my head, but he's almost, if he plays, I think 2 more years, he's going to equal the amount of years that he was an Atlanta Hawk. which is insane because they didn't want to keep him because they were worried that he was like entering his mid-30s. And it's like he's been arguably even more impactful into his late 30s as a playoff guy as he's stretched out into the shooter that he's become and the switchability. I'm not sure I can go that far, I guess, because like he was so good defensively back then, but he's still so fucking good defensively. I don't know. He's a freak, man. Like you watch what LeBron's doing in the Lakers series and what Steph's doing and what Horford's doing. Like, so it's mind bending, and thank God because like without him, this series is going 6 or 7 probably. Like you just need Al Horford.
I think we're 1 or 2 more great Al series away from rebranding the show to the Al Horford Show. I think everyone would be in support of that. Any other like positive trends from this series that stands out to you guys?
No, I think outside Derek White, he's averaging 25 and 5 on like 67% true shooting. Like just sneakily having an absurd series. Like just ticking along. He feels like the metronome of this series. Like every time you need to play, he was the guy that got KP going downhill in the pick and roll yesterday. 2 big threes. You know, you're almost surprised he didn't go 4 for 6 from 3, or he only went 2 for 6 from 3. He missed like some shots in the fourth quarter, but getting downhill, 7 for 11 yesterday, 2 big blocks, like just making all the plays that you needed. I think he drew a charge. Was that game 4? It's kind of blurring together now. But
last game, yeah.
But yeah, he's just been very, very good.
Yeah, Derek has been absolutely awesome. I just think like the fact that Tatum missed a game due to injury and has come back, like that could have been the season right there. You know what I mean? And the fact that he's come back and he's, I think back-to-back 36 and 37 point games, I think he's totally fine. To me, that is like the number one takeaway is like he's okay, and that's the most important thing.
For sure. The only other thing I'd add would be was got a slightly positive net rating, plus 2.4 in the non-JT minutes, which is historically anomalous as well. I don't know how much you can put that down to the opposition, but in a series where it's difficult to generate offense, and Jayson Tatum has typically been the offensive fulcrum, for lack of a better term, in his absence, to still be a slight net positive, I think is a huge win as well. As far as the less good trends from this series, a lot of them are health related, which I think we can save for the next segment where we talk about our title confidence. The only other thing I had was KP being targeted. You pretty much nixed that one, Spooty, by talking about KP's presence in terms of how it pertains to the Magic's personnel on the court is kind of an overall win for the Celtics, Jake.
Still, I would say, been a disappointing series for KP.
That's fair.
Like, obviously, right? Like, even yesterday, like we needed the points. He gave you 19. Some of them came on dunks, so it's like, yeah, you better fucking dunk the ball when you have the chance.
He almost missed that oop.
He almost missed that oop from Tatum, but he just wanted to give himself an extra rebound. So he did what he needed to do yesterday. Defensively, I thought he steadied himself late, but picked up the 5 fouls, was in foul trouble, meaning that we had to rely on Al Horford even more than we should, have to, and ask him to do more than we should be allowed to. So that was annoying. The one play that just stood out to me, where he picked up his 5th foul, was Derek did gamble on the play, which kind of forced Franz downhill. But KP, and I talked about it last night, but it's just going to stick in my brain because he's been so good protecting the rim all season. Like, he goes up with one arm, he's like off balance, and he had the runway with Franz coming downhill to kind of be ready for it. And it was just an awfully executed attempt to defend the rim, and gave up the and one. And so you give up your 5th foul. You don't foul him hard enough to prevent the bucket. It's just a cascading effect in that one play. And I think that while he was better yesterday, I still would like him to reach the expectations that I think he's set for himself.
Yeah, man, it's kind of just a tough matchup for him in some ways with the physicality, but he's not been great. I think we're trending in the right direction after last night, though.
So on the physicality, Zach Lowe's pod, obviously, fantastic podcast, arguably a lot better than this one, but it's really great to hear
Ridiculous.
I know, ridiculous take, wild take. It's great to hear someone on the national scale talk about this series a little bit, Jake, because I feel like, I listened to Russillo and Simmons last night, and we've talked about this with Simmons in the past, but he almost seems like self-conscious to touch on the Celtics that much because people criticize him for doing so. But we had Zach Lowe talking about the idea of dragging the Celtics into the mud, and is this the blueprint for other teams, potentially the Knicks coming up, to put something together strategically to beat the Celtics throughout the course of a series?
Yeah, this idea that you can drag the Celtics into the mud, and like that's making them rattled, and Magic fans online have been calling the Celtics soft. It's like the Jays and Horford have been grinding playoff wins out of the mud for the past 8 years. Like, all the way back to Tatum's rookie season, where 7-game series against Giannis and the Bucks, 7-game series against the Cavs, going to the bubble against that Raptors team, multiple series against the Miami Heat, the Bucks when they still had Drew Holiday and Brook Lopez could still move, Draymond Green and that hellacious defense. Like, this team has been grinding out like physical playoff series for close to a decade now. So this idea that you can like rattle them with quote unquote physicality, I don't buy into. I think that like the Magic have hurt Jayson Tatum, missing his first playoff game in 115 games, pulling Jaylen Brown out of the air and dislocating his index finger. Like, I think there's difficult, and like you've literally caused injury on plays that have been deemed flagrant by the referees. There's a difference to me. So to the Zach Lowe point, the Magic are very uniquely equipped to play the way that they're playing. Like, ton of size, ton of physicality, switchability. And the Cavs have tried it earlier in the season. Tatum went off for 47 against the Cavs. They did lose that game. They had more to do, I think, with not being able to get stops. But it's like, if you want to switch everything, I think that's the best way to slow down the Celtics. You can limit the three-point attempts, but it's like, are you going to switch Towns? Are you going to switch Brunson over and over again? Good luck to you, I suppose. But yeah, the Magic, I think, are very uniquely equipped. The Thunder are maybe the only other team I think that could, successfully pull off this scheme. I do not think the Celtics are rattled, personally. I just think they're pissed off because you hurt their two best players.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Justifiably, extraordinarily pissed off. So when I hear someone say, oh, we're going to rattle the Celtics, the Celtics are rattled, to me, that means like crunch time. They're not doing their job. That game was 94-94 with like 6 minutes left, and the Celtics won by 9, right? They're plus 37 net rating in the clutch against this Magic team. So you're going to drag the Celtics down into the mud and lose 4-1 in the series? Like, I just don't really like, this isn't working. You know what I mean? They're losing 3-1. And, we're talking about the Magic personnel. Like, well, the Knicks don't have the personnel to do what you're describing, Jake. You're exactly right that the Magic are specifically equipped to play this way. Other teams aren't built to only be able to defend. They're built a lot more balanced. And in the Knicks case, they're heavily balanced towards offense. Can I imagine Karl Anthony Towns like playing physical and tough like this Magic team? No, because he's literally never done it. And if he tries to do it, he's going to foul out in 12 minutes. So please try to do this, Knicks, because they're just not that type of team. They're going to try and outshoot us from 3 and play fast and get Brunson flopping all over the place. And that's what the Knicks will do. Like, this is not the only team this might be a blueprint for is OKC, and OKC does not need the Magic's blueprint. I can assure you of that. So I don't really to me, this series is more of an anomaly than anything.
Yeah, okay, so they've got their own thing going on, that's for sure. With the Magic, like, yes, it's not working in the sense that they're down 3-1. It is working in the sense that it does feel like a really grueling series, and it does feel like it's been a taxing series, but, it's a testament to the Celtics' ability to win in a variety of different ways. Even if you do drag them down to your level and try and beat them with experience, they're still better than you at your own game, essentially,
right.
hence the lead. But it is stressful. Speaking to like the notions of like, are the Celtics soft? I don't know. All I know is like going into the last game, people were talking about, we just want to see an uptick in physicality. We want to see guys throwing elbows and like, starting Biff, which we saw in this game. But what I really craved going into this one was just like, no, don't do that. Like, don't be forced to play their game. Come out and like finesse them as the basketball savants that you are. And, unfortunately, we didn't quite see that in this game. But like, I would love to see that in game 5 of just them sort of back to their home brand style of basketball. Do you think that's possible going into game 5?
Yeah, I think that it's very possible that this is the game that we see more like game 1. Like the Magic are good, man. Like they're not the Heat that the Cavs are playing, and look, the Thunder, if Ja Morant doesn't get hurt in that was it game 3 where they're up 30 pretty much at halftime, like that series might look different, or it looks exactly the same as the Celtics series where they're up 3-1, and people are like, oh, did the Grizzlies figure something out later in the series here? Probably not, but like, post All-Star break, the Magic were 13th in net rating. Like they were pretty solid. They had guys in and out of the lineup all year long. Like this, I think, is better than a team that's better than maybe I thought going into the series, or people think that aren't really paying attention to this series, as in the way that I have not paid attention to the Cavs Heat series, as I think the Cavs are up 40 or something right now in game
39. Yeah.
39, yeah, in game 4. So, yeah.
All right. We are lingering. It's my fault. I just need to be told 1,000 times that it's all going to be okay. I'm sure most of our listeners feel the same way, so I make no apologies. But before we get to the second half of this pod, which is going to be, I think, much shorter than the first half, we've got to hear from our friends. We've got to pay the bills and hear from our friends over at Prize Picks.
That's right, Prize Picks time. Let's do it. The playoffs are here. The Celtics are up 3-1. The Lakers are pooping their pants. Life is good. Now, we looked at going less on Jayson Tatum points last time I spoke to you, and that was bad advice. He has averaged 36 points a game since the last time we did this. So I'm flipping over, and we're going more on Jayson Tatum points. We're chasing our tail here. Maybe we continue to go less, and that seems to make Jayson Tatum score lots and lots of points. So I'll leave that up to you, but I'm willing to donate my money to get him averaging 35 points per game. But yes, please download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
Shout out Prize Picks. Shout out CLNS for presenting the First to the Floor YouTube show and audio podcast, which you can now catch on Spotify. But by the way, in video form, all of our instant reaction shows after they're recorded live here on YouTube are going straight up onto Spotify. So you can watch it on your phone, Spotify-wise. You can, I think with YouTube Premium, for example, you need to be paying for that service to be able to watch and then listen to pods with your phone locked. Spotify, you can watch, you can put your phone in your pocket, audio, video, whatever's convenient for you in the moment. So definitely check us out over there. And thank you to CLNS for sponsoring this show. Title, confidence, revisit is kind of where I wanted to go here. We'll hit on this. We'll get that second ad read out of the way, and we'll finish with the news of the day and talk about the Bucks and Nico Harrison's redemption trail. But title, confidence, revisit. We've kind of touched on a lot of the key points here, so we don't have to linger on this either. But like, I don't know, has this performance swayed your overall title confidence? And this is why we save some of these points. So we talked about KP, maybe not being a playoff riser, for example, having some struggles against the Magic, but it's the health red flags that stand out to me. And we didn't have these last year. We know historically you need so much luck to win a title, and so much of that speaks to the health aspect of winning a title. Right now, Drew Holiday confirmed out for Game 5 as well. We've got Jaylen Brown, fingers, knees, everything going wrong there. Jayson Tatum, the wrist situation is fluctuating, but there are some injury concerns here. So has this series swayed your title hopes at all, guys?
Man. Okay, so this series is really doing a number on my emotional and mental state, because on one hand, it is playing out almost exactly as I thought it would. I thought we'd probably win in 5. I thought every game would be ugly. I called it a race to 100. That's been pretty close to what's going on. Magic are really hard to run away from. So like, it shouldn't impact how I feel about this team's like title defense. And I'm going to be objective and rational and say it's not. It's just a series that was always going to be really difficult to watch. But yeah, I think to your point, Ben, to me, it's the health. it's always going to be the health. Like, who knows with KP? The Drew thing, I'm starting to get seriously worried. Tatum luckily looks really good, but who knows with like the lingering wrist, if he takes another bump, what's going to happen? So I think the reason I'm less confident this year than anything else is just there's two teams that are really good, and that wasn't really the case last season. So we'll see. Everybody's worried about playing Minnesota in the finals or Denver in the finals, and we got that bum-ass Mavs team. So, we might not even run into all these guys. So I don't think it's changed it. I still think, like, if I'm picking the Celtics or the field, I'm taking the field, but the C's are right there between us and OKC as the favorite, in my opinion, still.
Yeah, look, I'm a simple man. Celtics lose game 3, I start to get a little bit worried. Celtics win game 4, feeling pretty good all of a sudden. And that's kind of the ebbs and flows of the NBA playoffs. It is emotional terrorism. Like, you, for me at least, I know Ben and Spoonie said the sentiment. There are some more strong-willed and strong-minded Celtics fans out there, but the emotions of the playoffs are intense, but that's a great way to frame it. Spoonie is like, this is exactly how we talked about the series playing out. I did call it in 4. I think we're 1 quarter away from that kind of reality coming to fruition. So 4 or 5 games is what we all expected. And we read out the broader stats of this team being 3rd on net rating. Guess what the 2 teams they're behind? The Cleveland Cavaliers and the OKC Thunder. So the fact that Tatum seems fine, I don't think that wrist is going to be a long-term thing. Jaylen's not 100%, but he's still playing well. So, like, maybe it was not going to matter as much. Like, we're going to lean more into Tatum and a little bit less into Jaylen as he kind of manages his way through this knee thing. The Drew hamstring thing, that's a problem. But, again, I think we could beat the Knicks without Drew. But does the series go an extra game because we don't have Drew? Similar to like this Magic series, if we have Drew in game 4 or in game 3, we probably don't have a loss in that game. So it's like, does that extra game add up? Does that extra game in the next round add up? So I think coming into the playoffs, if my confidence of winning the title was, I feel like an 8 out of 7 out of 10, I'm probably down like to a 6.5 out of 10, just because the health is one of the most important factors to winning a title, and the Cavs are cakewalking through the first round, as are the Thunder. The Thunder are probably going to get whoever comes out of a 7-game slug with the Clippers and the Nuggets. I love the Pacers. I know there are people listening to this right now that think the Pacers can push the Cavs. I think they can win a game, maybe 2. I'll be stunned if they're able to actually beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, yeah, I think between the health and the raised level of competition, it's going to be tough, but from what I've seen from Jayson Tatum, maybe it won't matter, because if he's going to average 34, 35, 14, and 5 and start kicking the shit out of everybody, then maybe it won't matter.
Yeah, of all the teams to challenge the Cavs, aside from ourselves, the Celtics, I feel like the Pacers are the most well-versed to do that. So I'm super glad the bracket is broken that way. And good luck to the Pacers in that eventual series. Please make it go 7. But yeah, the health concerns, I think some optimists out there have floated the idea that this is some clever load management, or I think maybe the more truthful lens on that is that the view on Drew at the moment, particularly in this first round, and particularly now while we've got the advantage, is like at the earliest or smallest sign of any tissue damage or any degrading body part whatsoever, you rest that guy, because you're going to need him, and that need will rise exponentially as the playoffs continue. So I'm just very hopeful that is the case, and that if it were a more important series with higher stakes, we'd probably see Drew Holiday out there. Obviously speculating, impossible to know, but you just hope that's the case. And then I would love to know extensively the details on Jaylen Brown's injury, and like, is there some sort of active recovery that is going on, and will we see him increase his output, or is it what it is, Jake?
Well, I love your self-talk right now. You're like,
this is what I do every day.
You're talking yourself into this Drew thing being load management. Yeah, I don't believe that part. I mean, what we saw from Jaylen Brown in game 2, I mean, one of the best games he's had, like in the playoffs, like against this Magic defense as well. But Jaylen does go up and down. I think he doesn't look quite as physically dominant as he did in that game 2. But Drew played in game 2, which is on 24th of April. Game 5 is tomorrow, which is the 29th. So, and then there's probably a few days off between the Knicks series starting. That's like a bit over a week. If it's as T-Mac points out in the chat here, like if it's a proper hamstring, like whatever the lowest grade is, the less serious one, that's kind of like a 2-week thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's very possible he's out for the beginning of the Knicks series as well.
So real quick on Jaylen. I feel like I got to defend Jaylen. I know a lot of this is propped up by the game 2. He's averaging 23 a game and flirting with 50, 40, 90. He's playing great. So I mean, like I think I'm not worried about Jaylen at all, assuming like his condition doesn't deteriorate. Like if this is the version of Jaylen Brown we get, I think we're good. He's shooting 89% from the line, which is like last year he shot 66% from the floor in the playoffs. So if we get like a slightly reduced like Jaylen Brown defensively, but he's making 90% of his free throws, to me that feels like a wash. So I think we're good. And this is like the worst series to have a lingering injury against with how physical the Magic are. So I think JB's good. I'm not real worried about him, but we need Drew. I don't think we can win we can't beat OKC without Drew Holiday.
Yeah. No, totally.
Probably not
Absolutely.
Cleveland either.
Yeah, I would say you're right. All right, well, look, let's leave that there. I think obviously this is something we're going to be checking in on a daily basis as we experience the ebbs and flows and the emotional roller coaster of the playoffs. So stick with us on that one. When we come back, we're just going to end the pod on the news of the day, talk about the Dame injury, some other stuff going on around the league. But first is a quick word from our friends over at Game Time.
There's nothing better than NBA basketball, and especially nothing better than the NBA playoffs. A few years ago, I went to my one and only playoff game, and that was game 3 of the NBA Finals. I went with an Australian man that I met on the internet. The place was absolutely electric. It is one of literally the greatest moments of my life. And you know how I got in the door? Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. It was super easy to get tickets. We just hopped on the app, search for the game, then we're shown all the available tickets and all the best deals right on our phone. Their curated deals make it even easier to find the best seats at the best prices, and maybe my favorite feature is the seat view. It'll show you exactly what it looks like from any seat before you buy. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time.
Game Time, so good, legitimately awesome platform. If you need tickets to anything, use Game Time, use that code CLNS and get $20 off your first purchase. It's a great deal. Check it out and show our sponsors, our CLNS podcast boss people, overlords, that we are super worthy of their business. We'd appreciate it very much. Like the stream and subscribe while you're at it. Now, the news of the day, it's really yesterday's news or overnight's news for Jake and I here in Australia. Is this the end of the Bucks? And notably, this is not in the Schadenfreude report because this is fucking brutal, but confirmed Damian Lillard, who back in his Blazers days was one of my absolute favorite non-Celtics players. Back when I was young enough to wear jerseys without feeling like a complete tool bag, I had a Dame Lillard Blazers jersey. Love the guy. Anyway, Achilles tear, end of a run of sort of brutal events since coming to Milwaukee. He came on sort of the back of some personal life issues, had the blood clot, now the Achilles tear. So that's going on. So assuming the Bucks lose this series, guys, and I think it's pretty fair to say that they will, is it the end of Giannis in Milwaukee?
Man, what a brutal run, dude. Man, the divorce, you get a blood clot, you have to play for Doc Rivers, which seems annoying.
Post Ubuntu.
Move to Milwaukee.
You got to move to Milwaukee. No, I'm just kidding. This is fucked, man. Like, this is really sad. And Dame seems like the type of guy like that is going. I'm not sure he's gonna be able to come back and be right because like 35-year-old guards with Achilles tears, but as far as like mental fortitude goes, like this is one of like the more mentally tough people you're going to see around. But yeah, this is the end. he's owed $50+ million for the next 2 seasons. So there's nothing they can do. They're over the apron, I think, with their current situation. They don't own any of their picks, any of them, basically until like 2029 or 2020 or 2030. They all go out to New Orleans or to the Blazers in the holiday trade. And the reason they don't have their picks are for 2 different Drew Holiday trades. One for acquiring him and one for getting rid of him to get Damian Lillard. It's a complete and utter shit show. Like, you watch them against the Pacers and like it's just not a fair fight at all. Like, I picked the Pacers to win that series, but I was like, playoff Giannis, here we go, and he's been great, but couldn't matter less. Couldn't matter less. The Pacers are just way too good, and I think that says a lot about the Pacers. But if the Bucks are going to make a trade, they have to try and get their picks back. Otherwise, I don't even know what the point will be.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think you probably get some picks for Giannis, Spoonie.
Yeah, maybe like 1 or 2. Well, you know what? We'll give him Baylor Shireman in our first.
There we go. Fair trade.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you're right, Jake. They don't own their pick. So they have they have picks, but they're all swaps.
Yes.
So the first time they own an unencumbered pick is 2031. So that's as far out as picks go. They couldn't possibly have traded that one until this year. And the worst part is they also don't have any seconds because they gave them all up for Jay Crowder, if you remember that.
Oh, the 5 seconds for Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
Good.
So they have a second this year, and in 2026, they don't have one in 2027, 2028, 2030. They don't have any pick in 2029. So they basically have no picks at all that have any value. I really don't see a way out of this for Milwaukee other than trading Giannis. It really sucks this happened to Dame. I wanted to see like what they looked like fully healthy, and I think Dame's just like at a different part of his career before this happened. I totally agree with you, Jake. Like he will do everything he can to get back on the basketball court. I just like it's probably over realistically. Like we might see the Isaiah Thomas, he gets a contract somewhere and it looks bad and he's playing in the G League dropping 40 and he just doesn't really, but like, I mean, it's going to be really hard to come back from this and be a positive NBA player. And like they owe him so much money too. So like if I was Milwaukee, I would get ahead of the situation and trade Giannis this offseason. He's got, I think, 2 more years of control after the season. So it will be the largest trade package in NBA history. And it may not be all that close. So I think Anthony Davis in a first probably gets you him. And then you're really in business. But yeah, I think you just got to accept your reality that you accidentally traded for Kyle Kuzma and that's your second banana next year, and just blow it up, man, and just rebuild.
Kyle Kuzma from the Wizards to whatever the future of the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be. I mean, that dude,
he's perfect for it.
He's bad. I don't know. But like, I guess when I said about getting picks back, it's like they need to get their own picks back. They need to do a trade with New Orleans. And there's definitely a Zion thing. Like there's been reports about like they're mandated to get rid of him. So like Ben, like I think that 3-teamer, like that's otherwise like you doing a rebuild without your own picks is so hard, as the Brooklyn Nets have shown us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that'd be a wise move. I think, and a change of scenery for Zion as well. Not that he's going to tip the scales, but basically allow them to put bums in seats while still like reliably staying at the bottom of the table. I would say, just given how infrequently we see Zion on the court for consistent stretches. So if they can pull that off, that'd be great for them. The market though has not been set fairly based on recent superstar trades, which transitions us to our next point. Nico Harrison, is it a PR miracle? Can it even be called a miracle given what we already know about Luka Doncic? Exposed again. Admittedly, I've only seen the highlights of this game. I have not caught the full game. But despite that, a lot of the defensive deficiencies were highlighted in the clip that I saw. Nothing new here, and yet are we starting to see the tides turn for Nico, or like is his bed made at this point?
I just want to shout out Muzz in the chat here for the super chat. Appreciate you, brother. That KP dive for the loose ball. respect. It was he got down there, and it's a long way to go. So you got to give him credit for getting down there. But Spoonie, you take it from here.
Yeah, like I think Zach Lowe said it best. He's like, if you talk to like smart people in front offices, they're not against the conclusion that Nico Harrison drew that like maybe you can't win at the highest level with Luka Doncic. That's not a crazy conclusion after watching Jayson Tatum blow by him 25 times a game in the NBA Finals, and we're seeing it again here. The problem, it was always just what they got back for him, but the fact that he is front and center of the Lakers probably getting gentlemen swept is just lovely schadenfreude, man. And like, it's just so nice having a superstar that teams actively avoid attacking as opposed to one that entire offenses are schemed around attacking him. It is really hard to build a team around that type of guy, man. And it's like, LeBron's just always the best player on his team. Like no matter who he gets, it's like it's just like, well, actually, you know what? LeBron doesn't have any weaknesses, so he's still kind of the best player on the team.
Yeah, this is a good point from Isaiah here. Gentlemen swept in the first round, potentially with home court advantage. An impressive feat, even for the LA losers out there in California. But I mentioned it a little bit on late night last night. Like the playoffs are about, and this is what makes Tatum so good in the playoffs is he doesn't have weaknesses and he's so versatile that he's able to be built around in a way to minimize your own weaknesses across the roster. Doesn't matter what end it is, whether it's Chris Dunn being left wide open, whether it's Garland being hunted on the other end. Like if there's a weak link in the playoffs, the higher the level of basketball gets, the teams are going to exploit it over and over and over again. Like LeBron is the one, ironically, who really like spearheaded the mismatch, relentless hunting movement in the playoffs with the hunting of Steph Curry back in like the 14-15 run. And it's just, and like with everyone trying to switch and minimize three-point attempts and stuff like that. It's like if you have someone like Luka out there, you watch the highlights from Jaden McDaniels like career night, 30 points per game, 30 points on like 9 for 11 or whatever it was. You watch the highlights, it's either Luka Doncic or Austin Reeves just being completely blown by or overpowered, and it's exacerbated by the fact that the Lakers don't have rim protection, which is why like the Mavs were able to survive at least a little bit longer because they had Gafford and they had Lively. But if you're going to be constantly broken down over and over again, you're going to be limited as far as what you can do if you're going to run into the wrong matchup in the playoffs. And I think now it's very easy to say that Luka's closer to the 10th best player in the league than the first best player in the league.
I saw that today, Jake. I saw you dipping your toes in. I love it.
I think it's a fair take. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how can you argue against that based on the recent body of work? Going back into and including last year's finals, I think that's a great case, especially when you look at the ascendance of other players. Like I know Halliburton's coming back, for example, and Anthony Edwards is just fucking literally jumping out of this world. It is not an exaggeration. So yeah, plenty of people in line to usurp Luka Doncic rather as he plummets down the rankings there. Unfortunately for Nico Harrison, I think that even if Luka was out of the league in 2 years, like the fact that he did not get more in a return for that trade is always going to be the nail in the coffin for him. So there is no redemption, and the Lakers suck. From a Celtics perspective, just pure schadenfreude. You love to see it.
It's the best. But is that your dad, Jake?
Yes. Yeah, my dad always messaged me being like, see, the Doughboy couldn't play defense again tonight. And is he wrong? Is he wrong?
No.
He is accurate. Shout out my dad here. And shout out Wolverine 1986 in the chat here. You probably missed the beginning of the show, Wolverine 1986, but we talked about the Knicks. And Spoonie tried to give you guys grace and be like, yeah, they probably know like that they're overmatched and this is a bad matchup for them. But I was like, no, they probably think because they've beaten a Pistons team that's never been in the playoffs before by a margin of like 3 points across 4 games that they're actually gelling at the right time. And lo and behold, Wolverine 1986. Thank you for proving.
Almost verbatim what you said, Jake. It's like he quoted you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Can't wait to see you next round.
Amazing. Great spot to wrap it up. And I got to get out of here. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Jake will be back tomorrow with playback. I'm assuming, Jake, for Game 5, playback.tv. Celtics blog.
Yep, and you're going to hop on play back tonight for Game 4 of Rockets Warriors. But yeah, tomorrow we'll be back for the Celtics game and back for late night instant reactions for what is hopefully the end of round 1.
Please, Lord. All right, please like, subscribe. We'll see you all tomorrow. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celts.